More information on the string of opioid arrests throughout the region that officials are calling the largest prescription opioid operation in U.S. history. And warnings of a new drug reported to be 10,000 times stronger than morphine. And a place where pregnant women addicted to drugs can seek treatment.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Taylor Upchurch. Today is Thursday, April 18th. Let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. Brandon, it's awfully warm out there.
It is, and it's going to be a very mild day for this time of the year. Average high about 69. We're going to be in the 80s later on this afternoon. Let's take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar because we're tracking a couple things this morning and a couple of stray showers into parts of southern Kentucky out near the Pulaski County line there, going over back toward Adair County and back over toward Taylor County as well. You see that right there coming into western Pulaski County, down into southwest Virginia. Some of those showers starting to move over into Dickinson County there as well, hopefully getting out of here pretty soon. And that one little cell up there near Gilbert and Mingo County, West Virginia, also keeping an eye on that too. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s, so a very mild morning. 12-hour planner, we are going to see temperatures climb into the 80s later this afternoon, so a fairly nice day ahead of that cold front, which will bring some big changes. I'll talk more about that here in a few minutes. Taylor?
Thanks, Brandon. Federal authorities announced the single largest prescription opioid law enforcement operation ever. Nabbing more than 30 doctors they say illegally prescribed opioids. It's part of the government's ongoing efforts to stem the national opioid crisis. In all, authorities tied the defendants to 350,000 prescriptions and 32 million pills.
Every day that these so-called medical professionals have a pen and prescription pad in their hands is another day that they're making people sick.
60 people were arrested in total. Of those 60 people, 5 of them are from right here in eastern Kentucky. Several of them are doctors. One is a dentist and another is a medical office manager. We went to a medical clinic where one of the doctors works to try to find answers.
It was 2 weeks ago when Diane Howell made an appointment at the medical clinic where Dr. Mohammed Mazumder works. With all the doors locked, she says the news is shocking.
I'm not sure. I came to try to, to my appointment and, it shocked me.
Floyd County Dr. Mohammed Mazumder, Pikeville Dr. Cy Guti, Floyd County Dentist Denver Tackett, and Pikeville Dr. Scotty Akers, along with his medical assistant Sarissa Stamper, are all facing charges.
We're here this morning to announce the largest prescription opioid law enforcement action ever.
Investigators say the 60 people arrested wrote about 350,000 opioid prescriptions and prescribed more than 32 million pills.
The equivalent of a dose of opioids for every man, woman, and child across the states of Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and West Virginia combined.
Even with fewer opioids now on the streets, officials say their work is not done.
The work of the Strike Force is not done. Strike Force members will continue to work in partnership, investigating and prosecuting opioid-related crime committed by medical professionals in these districts and elsewhere.
If all of the charges are proven to be true, people in the community say they feel like it is a step toward progress.
I'm glad they're cracking down on everything. The ones that needs to be closed down, I'm glad they're going to close them down.
Fighting the opioid crisis one pill and even one doctor at a time.
We did run into Dr. Mohammed Mazumder as he was walking out of the Pike County Detention Center. He did want to give a comment without first talking with his attorney. And several other Kentucky doctors are caught up in the massive opioid sting operation. Dr. Cy Guti is among those charged. Guti is charged with 8 counts of healthcare fraud. We started keeping an eye on Guti a little more than 3 weeks ago. We knew federal agents were raiding his offices on March 25th. However, the looming question was why. Robert Taylor says officials need to be strict on opioid distribution, but he believes that may affect those who truly need it.
It makes everybody else look bad when we actually have something wrong with us and need to go to the doctors and get narcotics, such as pain pills or something.
To our knowledge right now, several of the doctors are already out of jail. From federal court documents, Dr. Guti is scheduled for a hearing on the 25th in Frankfort Federal Court. Now Denver Tackett is a dentist from McDowell. He faces 1 count of healthcare fraud and 15 counts of unlawful distribution of controlled substance charges. Prosecutors say he wrote prescriptions without any legitimate medical purpose. They say he also removed people's teeth when it was unnecessary. He's also accused of inappropriately billing for services. Now in the eastern portion of Tennessee, officials arrested 8 medical professionals, including 5 doctors, a nurse practitioner, a physician's assistant from La Follette in Campbell County. In West Virginia, a psychiatrist is accused of unlawful distribution of controlled substances involving more than 800 prescriptions and more than 17,000 opioid pills. Earlier yesterday, we were there as Dr. Scotty Akers and his former office assistant Sarissa Stamper appeared in court. Prosecutors claim Dr. Akers and Stampers exchanged opioid prescriptions for cash from people on Facebook. They pleaded not guilty today. A trial date is set for June 24th. The DEA is warning about carfentanil, a drug that is 10,000 times stronger than morphine. The agency says 3 people have died after overdosing on the synthetic opioid. It even poses a risk to first responders who come into contact with it accidentally. Experts say even an amount of the size of a few grains of salt can be fatal. Reports show it's being mixed into pills to mimic other drugs, so users may not know what they're taking. This announcement comes just ahead of the National Prescription Drug Abuse and Heroin Summit next week in Atlanta. It runs Monday through Thursday. President Trump is expected to speak at the event. And $100,000 are on the way to a new facility in Clay County. WellCare of Kentucky is donating the money to Volunteers of America Mid-States for their Freedom House in Manchester. This will be a location where women who are addicted to drugs can go if they're nursing or if they're pregnant. This is in hopes to eventually eliminate children born addicted to drugs.
It's also important because they're going to be able to keep their children. Their children are going to be born into a home where they get to be with their parent. It's not broken. They get the opportunity to grow up with a wonderful maternal figure in their life and not wonder what it's like and where my mommy is. I think that's extremely important.
The facility should be open by this summer. And as part of a Broken World unit, Redbird Christian high schoolers learn to tackle social issues much like addiction in Appalachia. I have an inside look at personal letters written by students who choose to take action.
So it is a disease, but is it a choice first?
Teaching through personal experiences.
I want them to feel like they have more power than I did growing up.
These literature classes are filled with kids.
Those were some of the worst days of my life.
Who tell their stories to change lives.
My father, and I wish he was home.
We are absolutely going to learn grammar, we're going to learn how to write, but we're going to learn how to do it in a way that it affects the real world and gives you a sense of agency in what you're doing.
This debate of whether addiction is considered a choice or a disease leads to a student-run campaign. 2019 Redbird Road, Resist Opioid Access and Dependency.
People younger than me really are, getting their lives torn apart, their families torn apart.
Each letter personal, from the heart, sent to political, medical, and legal leaders. Students say what emotion lies inside is often difficult to read.
Drug addiction breaks families apart in my community.
Families being torn apart, to parents leaving and people throwing them away like they're nothing, because the drugs have become such a problem in their life and they become the main priority over their kids.
Fortunately, not all kids feel this pain.
I don't really know how they feel inside, but I just feel the need to help.
Yet they continue to reach out to those just down the hall who do.
They're not the only ones hurting, it's the families also, and we're here for support and to let them know that they're not alone.
Teaching young hearts as well as young minds. As part of the 2019 Road campaign, students plan to host a candlelight vigil for anyone affected by substance abuse at the Redbird Christian School track. And a community is remembering Raceland Fire Captain Cody Grubb, who passed away over the weekend after serving with the Raceland Fire Department for 15 years. Captain Grubb was only 29 years old, but made quite the name for himself, climbing the ranks from junior firefighter all the way to captain. Those that knew him best say he took pride in protecting the place he called home.
People would always say that he couldn't do something. He always proved them wrong. That he'll never be forgotten. All of the hard work he put in, all of the crazy things he used to do, we'll always remember and we'll be telling stories about until we see him again.
There was a visitation for Cody last night, and his funeral will be held later today. Now let's check in once again with Brandon for a look at your weather.
Forecast this morning starting off pretty quiet across the region. A few little spotty showers in parts of southern West Virginia and southwest Virginia this morning, in southern Kentucky, but just cloudy skies over Stonecrest, over Whitesburg as well this morning. I think we see quite a few clouds this morning, then they'll start to back off a little bit as we head toward the afternoon. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s, not a whole lot of 50s around most spots in the 60s this morning. Your out the door forecast, you are going to see temperatures climb quickly into the 70s by lunchtime, into the low 80s by this afternoon. Enjoy it because some big changes are coming as we head into the overnight. Taylor?
Thanks, Brandon. And thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. Coming up, Mr. Science Jason Lindsay will join Brandon Robinson in the studio with a live experiment everyone is sure to enjoy.